All right, good afternoon, councillors, staff, members of the gallery. Thank you for your attendance at the meeting. Please be advised that this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed. By speaking at this meeting, you agree to being recorded and live streamed. Please ensure that if and when you speak, you're respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Cabonne Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. The recording this meeting will be made publicly available on Council's website. Now, before we kick off with the first item, I'm sure that everybody's aware of the... Yeah, you're right to go. I'm sure that everybody's well and truly aware of the events that took place at Bondi on Sunday evening, and I think it's more than appropriate that we all stand and observe a minute silent in recognition of the loss of lives and generally the tragic event of Sunday evening. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Item 1 is application for leave of absence. Can I have a move and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, second by Councillor Pearson. We're all in attendance, so I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Move and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Jones. Does anybody have anything to declare? I've got nothing. I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Item 3 is declarations of political donations. Move in a second, please. Moved by Councillor O'Ryan, second by Councillor Nash. Thank you. Does anybody have anything to declare? I've got nothing. I will put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Item 4 is the mayoral minute of appointment, which I will move, and I have tabled a report. I know that Councillor Nash has. I know that Councillor O'Ryan has. I know now that Councillor Rawson has. Councillor Weaver?
I will do.
You will be turning your light on too? Thank you.
I will be, Mr. Mayor. But if I could just say, I did attend the reopening of the school at Yarra, and what a brilliant job that has been made a feature of Yarra. It's a beautiful spot. It's well deserved by the people and well appreciated by the people. And I just think it's been brilliantly done. It's a lovely opening or reopening. And congratulations to Stacey, and I think it was Holly, is her name. Yeah, they did a really good job out there. And the other one was the museum at Yarra. I did go out and have a look, just to have a wander through before it, as Ray Augustin said, gets cluttered with all the old stuff. But it's a job well done. I mean, Patrick should be very proud of himself and the team. They've done a brilliant job, and it's going to be a lovely little museum for them. So congratulations.
Thank you, Councillor Weaver, and thank you for your comments to the staff. They are doing a terrific job.
They have.
And I think the museum is for old stuff, I think.
I did laugh when Ray said that.
Okay, anybody else, anything for the, yeah, Councillor Jack? Oh, you tabled, thank you, yep. All right, if there's nothing further, I'll put that, all those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 5 is Committee of the Whole, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. Eventually. Okay, does anybody wish to call anything in the Committee of the Whole? Councillor Nash.
Just item 27 in supplementary, please.
Item 27, that was. Thank you. Anything else? Right, I will put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 6 is confirmation of the minutes, and the confirmation is the November Ordinary Council meeting and the Australia Day Committee meeting. Can I have a mover and a second? Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Anything from the minutes at all? Nope. All right, I will put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 7 is the Code of Meeting Practice Adoption. Mover and a seconder, please. By Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Nash. Discussion on the item 7, Code of Practice Meeting Adoption. Is what it is. Correct. All right, well, we'll put it. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Thank you, everybody. Item 8 is the council meeting, standing committee meetings and other council session structure report. Mover and a seconder. By Councillor Poole, seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion on the structure? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, this is basically what we do already, which is good. So that's fine, and I think it's a good structure. The only thing I think that the only gap I think that needs to be addressed is the public address to council sessions. Our code of meeting practice, which we have just voted on, does allow public address on agenda items for committee and council meetings. So, and there's nothing in this mention here which allows for that. So we've got the public address to council sessions being that 2 week prior to the meetings, but not for anyone who wants to come and speak on an agenda item in a committee or in our council meetings. So there's nothing in here about that. So we probably need to. Well, we've just voted on it and allowed it.
No, the vote was that we have it on the second Tuesday of the month. But if it can't be done, I think it's exactly what happens today. Well, we couldn't do that today, so there's an alternative. So we have that discretion. It's not mandatory. We can change it.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's just that there's here it's quite specifically it's identified as being public address on items that aren't in an agenda. Whereas in the Code of Meeting Practice, there is an item which says that we will enable the public to speak to items on an agenda, which in the case of our business papers is only a few days before the meeting. So there's an inconsistency between what's written here and what's in the Code of Meeting Practice. That's why I think we need to. But that means that there's no way for people who receive an agenda for them to speak on an item in an agenda, which is in our Code of Meeting Practice, which we've just voted on. So I just think we need to, there's a inconsistency there, which I think we need to fix, cover up, do something about. I would personally prefer to have the ability for any member of the public to come and speak on an agenda item. That's what I would prefer. And I think we've got it in, or I know we've got it in the code of meeting practice, which we've just adopted.
In the model code, forum is on 2 weeks prior. It's not a mandatory course. We're adopting. But I just want to double check that.
Yeah, it's not mandatory.
Adopting is that the ability for council to do it, but not making it on the code, saying our forums are going to be carried out fortnight prior, doesn't mean council can't vote or say there's an issue topical coming up, we want to have it.
Okay.
So it's not
So you don't think it's worth spelling that out in this particular item, that we have the ability to do that? Because otherwise we send a message to the general public that they don't have the opportunity to come and speak on an agenda item.
Mr Mayor, if I could just briefly speak on this topic. For code of meeting practice, the previous item states that, as the executive leader has said, that the council may hold a public forum prior to meetings of the council and committee meetings. And then 4.2 says that the council may determine the rules under which public forums are to be conducted and when they are to be held. So to me, that means that it has been general practice or precedent for this council to hold them on the second Tuesday of the month before committee meetings. That decision was made when, well, I recall advice from the then General Manager when I first came on council in 2017 around that being best practice in terms of ensuring that it allows staff to take into consideration when writing reports the information provided during those public forums. It allows councillors to seek additional information and it also ensures that we can make the best decisions.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I understand all of that, but I'm just saying that we are in the process now with this item 8, of determining what our position is, and we have the ability to have public address, 2 weeks prior, but our code of meeting practice specifically mentions the ability to speak on an agenda item, and we haven't covered it in here. We just, even if we say have an amendment here which says that if it's deemed, if the mayor, for example, deems it appropriate for a member of the public to speak on an agenda item, then they have the ability to do so. It doesn't change anything that we've done before, but at least it spells it out. Here in this item, we are spelling out what we are planning to do. So I just think we need to spell that out there. Otherwise, it sends a signal to the rest of the community that we're not accepting anybody to speak on an agenda item in business papers, which would not be normal practice across local government.
All right, yeah, look, it's only going into the report that we're adopting. Under the heading of public address to council session, so where it says public address to council session will be held as required on the second Tuesday of each month, except for January, commencing at 2 p.m. second paragraph after, or another paragraph after that, by exception, the mayor, what you just said,
Yep, that would be perfect. Yeah,
by exception.
by exception, yeah, if you want to do it that way.
Yeah.
But at least it gives us the option, and it tells the community.
Which happens now anyway.
Yeah, which happens now. It's exactly it. All I'm saying is that there's something missing out of here, which is something that we already do.
So, by exception, we'll go into that report. That's generalising it, fairly broad. It's all right. 'Cause
Well,
you mentioned agenda items, but I mean, that
Could be
by
committees, could
That's
be,
right.
yeah. And I
That's
think,
right. And that's right, it could be an emerging issue, so that keeps it broad enough to cover that.
yeah, indeed. And who makes the call on that should be the mayor or the chairman of the committee. Yeah.
Everybody okay with that?
Thank you.
Mover and the seconder was... Oh, well, we just get that.
Not really.
It's only going in the report anyway.
Uh,
Yeah, you happy with that?
I actually don't think we need it, because I think if anyone's going to read the report, they're probably going to read the code of meeting practice, but if it helps move it along, yes.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion on the standing committee meetings and other council session structures? No? Well, I will put that. All those in favour? Against, carried. Item 9 is the Government Information Public Access Act 2009 GIPA Agencies Information Guide Annual Review. Move in a second, please. Moved by Councillor Ryan, seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion on that at all? Straightforward. Okay, happy everybody? I'll put that. All those in favour? Yes, that's carried. Item 10 is request for donations. Move in a second, please. Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Hull. Any discussion on that at all? Righto. I will put that. Everybody's happy. All those in favour? Against, carried. Thank you. Item 11 is the event sponsorship program. Move in a second, please. Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Poole. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Poole.
Very good, particularly the Eugowra Show Society, really important to regional areas of our state, so very good.
Yes, Mr Mayor, just agreeing with Councillor Paul. What a coup for Eugowra. It'll put them on the map well and truly, which is really great, and bring a lot of people to Eugowra to see the before and afters. You know, a lot of people would have seen what happened, but I tell you what, the improvements in Eugowra are very, very high standards. So I think it's great.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Yep. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 12 is request for variation to Village Enhancement Fund, Yeovilland District Progress Association. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Nash. Any discussion on that at all? All happy?
Just another comment, that's another good one. Just particularly with a community group, I know it's not a lot of money, but they could have just sat on their hands and they're getting full value for money. Looking outside the box, it's just good.
Very good. All right, nothing further, I will put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 13 is the Agaro STMP mid-scale solar plant. There's, and there's just before somebody, before somebody, you've got to receive and adopt, not note. And where is it? Sorry? Oh, yeah. Got to adopt. Yeah. Happy to move that. Thank you, Councillor Batten. Seconded by Councillor Rawson. Any discussion on that? All right. Everybody's happy. I will put that. All those in favour? Against, carried. Item 14 is potential Cabon Community Centre solar and battery funding. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Poole, seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion on that at all?
Mr Mayor, just, briefly speak in favour of this motion, and thank staff and congratulate staff for being so proactive in applying for this grant. It just makes sense with the new Cabon Community Centre to be able to have that as an emergency evacuation centre. Obviously, that assessment's being done, and the priority, or it's been identified that this additional infrastructure is required over there. Of course, on the 14th of November, or the 13th of November, 14th of November, when we did have those floods, obviously, one of the first things that did occur was that the power did go out. People were, at that time, because we didn't have this centre, being sent to the club, they didn't have power, so having a facility that can be powered through a battery and solar for emergencies, but also just in general as part of our commitment to supporting our infrastructure being 100% renewable. This is a really good win for council if we're successful. Thank you.
You will say, yep. Councillor Batten?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just through your comment in support of it, along with Deputy Mayor Jones. What we're proposing here is consistent with two of our plans, the Renewable Energy Action Plan that we we adopted in 2018, and then the Electrify Cabon plan strategy that we've adopted subsequently. And what this does is move us ahead with both those plans. I think staff should be commended in applying for this, taking the initiative to do this. The other thing I think we should know is that what we're doing here is it's actually an evacuation centre. So what we're doing is really supporting in the eventuality that there's not a power source available through the grid, that we've actually got backup power right there in the event that there wasn't a disaster that required us to use that as the evacuation centre. Job well done.
Any further comment? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, carried. Item 15 is the draft Agaro flood study. Move in a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Jones. Any discussion on that at all? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, look, I urge everyone to have a read of this and get their heads around it. It's a good piece of work that they've done. The consultants we've used for Molong as well, and they've obviously done this study, and similarly for Canowindra. They've done a very good job. I think a point to be made here, though, is that it's always very difficult when you're trying to work out flood frequencies, because you base the flood frequencies on the floods that occur of different sizes and how often they occur over time. And what we had in November 22 was a record flood by quite a considerable margin. And then the argument then is, do we use the old frequency curves and then just put that as an outlier on the end, or do we incorporate the new reality of a changing climate and therefore incorporate that record event into the flood frequency estimation? And that's what they've done with this, and they've also incorporated a bit of an uplift due to the recommendations from Australian Institute of Engineers, I think it is. Is it Institute of Engineers? AR&R?
Australian Rainfall and Runoff.
It's rainfall and runoff, but it's put out by the Australian Institute of Engineers, I think, isn't it? Yeah. So AR&R is the document which determines what the rules are in relation to estimation of rainfall and runoff and ultimately flooding. So what they've done is really basically said that what was once a 1 in 100 year mark on the ground, if you like, 1 in 100 year flood, is now 1 in 50. So that given the fact that we use a 1 in 100 year line on the ground as our sort of planning threshold, and for floor heights, for example, we add an amount above that for our floor heights in our DCP. This basically says we need to urgently upgrade our DCP for Eugowra, for Canowindra, for Molong. So because the thresholds that we are currently using are now completely outdated. And there's a map in there which indicates the new 1 in 100 year level plus 50 centimetres above that to indicate, you know, where the floor heights should be, and that covers pretty well all of Eugowra, except for a little bit on the western side. So it's a pretty sobering result, you know, but not unexpected from this. So I urge you all to have a look and try and understand what's in it and the implications for us when it comes to determining planning for Eugowra in particular. And we've certainly had instances in the past where we've had DAs come up. You know that I've had a record of voting against them for these reasons. So it's worth having a look and seeing what the implications are. So thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? No? All right, well, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 16 is the draft Canowindra flood study, December 25. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Rawson, second by Councillor Pearson. Any discussion on that one? All right. Ditto? Yep, Councillor Weaver.
Mr Mayor, if I could just ask a question. The clearance of the rail at the back of the town of Canowindra, what sort of difference is that going to make if we get another big flood? Is that going to open up to allow a lot of water to get away? And is that going to accumulate anywhere else that it could cause problems? Do we know that? Big button?
I'll refer to the technical advisor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I do know a little bit of the answer, but he will get it all right.
The removal of the rail bridge has been modelled into our flood mapping, and it has resulted in about a 300mm drop in flood levels upstream of the rail bridge, albeit there is still some rail infrastructure there that as part of the floodplain risk management plan, the consultants will review and see if that will provide any further effect to flooding through there. But it was an opportune timing that that rail bridge was removed, and then we could model from their removal the effects of that. But it is very positive, the works that have been done today.
Through you, Mr Mayor, after what you'd call that choke point, the floodplain does spread out quite a lot and does dissipate it quite a lot. So no, there's no head increase after that, where that rail bridge was.
Councillor Ryan.
I noticed, well, I'm aware that the pylons are still there from, they moved all that bridge, the timbers and stuff. Our local member was there talking about how they should come out of the river too. Is that part of the plan, to remove the steel pylons?
Through you, Mr Mayor, that was the rail infrastructure I was discussing before, the steel structure that's still there. It's not part of the scope of works that was the work that's supposed to be completed. The flood consultant following the Floodplain Advisory Committee has indicated that they will incorporate into their next phase, which is the Floodplain Risk Management Plan, the removal of that and seeing what effect, if any, it does, and then depending on the effects it has, the prioritisation of that as an action to be undertaken.
I'm just aware that they're considered to have created quite a good environment for native fish and platypus. But I'm not sure how that fits into what we're doing.
And I think they're heritage listed. I just want to clarify that because I think that's one of the reasons why they weren't removed in the first place.
Through Mr Mayor, a project will make its way into a floodplain risk management plan. It's by no means the end of the journey though. You still need to do your project due diligence and go through that process. And if you do have roadblocks, you need to work through them to be able to get the solution that you have. And in some instances, it may mean that you don't have a viable project for whatever reason, be it economics or heritage or whatever the reasons. The floodplain risk management plan identifies actions that you can undertake to manage the floodplain. It doesn't say that that's what has to happen no matter what.
Just a quick comment to answer both those questions, Wei. The floodplains are very dynamic places, and there will be change when you remove structures like that. There will be change downstream, but yeah, that's true. So just expect there to be change, and expect also that we may not really even know, what change that may be. It might be something quite perverse. But expect change, and as Matt said, I think downstream of that, it's quite a choke point there. So downstream it does spread out, and there's also an anastomosing stream that heads off. I've forgotten the name of it. Goes off to the south, which disperses a lot of it too. So, yeah.
Cucumber Creek, apparently.
Yeah. Okay. I think. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah. So I agree with Matt that I suspect that in the main the changes downstream will probably be small. Yeah.
Councillor Burton.
Yeah, question of if in the event that we get rid of those disused rail bridges and reduce the upstream flood level by 300 millimetres, do we know of the 69 buildings, 42 commercial, 27 residential, many of those, or which ones would be positively impacted by that reduction in height?
Well, what's done already reduces to 300, reduces to back to 300. Not even do any more work that's been done already. Yeah.
So do we know which?
Through you, Mr Mayor. The works have been completed and they have been modelled and mapped. So the identified properties that are in the plan now are the ones that are identified as being damaged in floods without that rail bridge existing.
Mr Mayor, if I could just add something to that. The places that were hit really badly in Canowindra were partly river but the main part was stormwater runoff, which caused the huge problem. And I think that's something we've got to look at and take into account, you know, that it's not all the river, it's not all the river's fault, it's the lay of the land and where the rain falls. Thank you.
Correct. And interestingly enough, it was highlighted by the consultants too at the floodplain meeting the other day, that at the really highest flows, there is another floodway that goes through the back of Eugowra from up near the hospital, comes down. There's the one that crosses over, you know, the Blubbeel Way, but there's also, it splits off and goes around through, I think, the golf course, and then heads off to the sort of mid-north, and it goes half of the southern, goes through the southern side of the park up there, and then through the town. Yeah, it's identified in the mapping here. It's really interesting that it's doing that. So.
All right, anything further? No, I'll put that. All those in favour? Yes, that's carried. Item 7A is confirmation of the Cabonne Floodplain Management Advisory Committee meeting minutes. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Orion. Anything from the minutes? No, I will. Yep.
Yeah, I've just got a question on the box walls, the temporary levees. It says we've purchased 450 metres and we've also bought a little bit more. Question is, they're in Molong specifically because you get the flash flooding, and we also discussed that they could be moved to Canowindra in time because the Canowindra River moves a lot slower. What are the chances that Molong and Canowindra will flood at the same time? As in number of box walls?
Doesn't ours have a lot to do with the wood levels?
Technical advice?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Likely, very likely.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I get what you're driving at, Councillor May. It's possibly almost impossible to give you that answer, but equally, I think it'd be a pragmatic, there is still lead-in time, so it would be a pragmatic discussion by the operational staff. It'd be quite difficult in some ways to work out basically a risk analysis of which one is most likely to benefit the most from the utilisation of block wall, given what we know, whether we know, because they don't all rise at the same rate, velocity, so to be, without being able to predict what those factors are, it would have to be based on some sort of risk assessment to say, we're going to make the decision to deploy them to A because what we're seeing on the forecast and the ability for them to negate that outweighs the other one. That's the best way I can describe it. Have to deal with that problem.
I was actually probably going down the path of how much are they and have we got enough to have in stock for both so someone doesn't have to make that decision on whose house floods and whose doesn't.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I suppose it's about the scarcity of resources, and we haven't even tested them live yet. Hopefully we don't have to test them too live, but who knows.
I can sort of answer this question. I think that they're designed very much for a high frequency but lower level of flood. So like a 1 in 20 year event, is that right? Up to about a 1 in 20? A 1 in 20 year event in Canowindra is probably not that damaging. It sort of just comes to the edge of town because of the geography of the town. Whereas a 1 in 20 year event in Molong would have significant impact, like there'd be water, you know, that would be flowing through the CBD. So it makes sense to keep them in Molong initially, and for those sort of more frequent sort of flash floods that would happen here. And probably have to think of a completely different solution for somewhere like Canowindra for the much bigger floods that would be far less frequent.
In my shorter memory of being here, I'm aware that there's plenty of times where Canowindra is in isolation problem and Molong's not. So, you know, there'll be times where it's a lay down there where you deploy them. it is going to be, I suppose, to see how we go, whether we can actually get more of them. At this stage, we're just dealing with the amount we've got, and we'll do that.
No, just to be clear, sorry, I don't have a problem with them being in Molong because you get the flash flooding, you need to get them out quick. Question was, do we have enough if both towns go under at the same time?
This is more Matt's field than mine, but flood risk management will determine how effective they're going to be also. So there may not be need for that many to do what needs to be done in Canowindra or Yagara compared to Molong, or it could be they need more, or it may be, sadly, it may be they're not viable for the problem that they've got. We've got to work that out.
All right, thank you, everybody. Nothing further? We'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 18 is the confirmation of the Cabonne Local Traffic Committee meeting minutes. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Nash, second by Councillor Weaver. Anything from the minutes of the traffic meeting? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 19 is Oakey Lane upgrade. Mover and a second, please. Moved by Councillor Paul, seconded by Councillor Jones. Thank you. Any questions on that at all? Discussion? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Where exactly were you thinking of putting signs? At the intersection with Lookout Road on that side, or further in where the gate is? Which is one, and also, what will the sign be? Would it indicate, say if it was down at the Lookout Road end, would it indicate to the general public that if you really wanted to go out to Long Point, you'd have to turn up Lookout Road at this point and then turn right, like an indication of where you... Because the issue, as you know, is people are being directed up Oakey Lane by Google, and they're visitors from outside. They go down to OFA, they want to go out to Long Point, they get directed up Oakey Lane, and then they get stuck. It would be good if there was a sign at the point where they can diverge around it, you know, at Lookout Road, go up Lookout Road, which has been talking about, rather than going all the way in to a point where they'd have to then turn around and come back again.
Through you, Mr Mayor, 4 signs, 2 obviously at the end of the formed road on either end, and then 1 at the appropriate intersections of the road to indicate that preferably don't go up there because you won't get through. And that'll be for suitable for 4-wheel drives only in emergency vehicles, because we aren't proposing to close the section of road. It's not going to be closed with fencing and so on. It's because it is an active fire trail. To the second point about Lookout Road, it will go to our usual maintenance schedule, and it will be maintained to an appropriate level. It does get graded quite regularly. It's a usual suspect in our reports to council of receiving maintenance that's there. It does have some issues with regards to rock outcrops, which do make it difficult to maintain a consistent standard, but there has been in the past proposals put forward in regards to sealing the road.
Any further comment? Discussion? Nope. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 20 is proposed road naming, Jackson Road March. Mover and a seconder. Thanks, Councillor Batten. Seconded by Councillor Nash. Any discussion on that at all? Nope. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 21 is delegates to Joint Regional Planning Panel, other organisations, 24-25. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by councillor Pearson, second by councillor Jones. Discussion, I think we have councillor Nash and councillor Batten.
Mr Mayor, as the seconder, happy to continue on with the current delegates, if they're happy to continue on.
I'd be quite happy to step back, Mr Mayor.
Do you or the primary? You want secondary? Alternate?
The way this operates through you, Mr Mayor, is that Andrew Muir from Delaney is in fact the delegate. Councils, then Marlene and I have been nominated as alternates.
Alternates.
Workload's onerous, absolutely onerous. I've been a representative on this, I think, from the beginning of my term, and I've attended any planning panel meetings, so Andrew's been doing a very good job in my view.
So you're happy to continue in your role?
Happy to continue if need be.
Right, yeah, so you're happy to stay on the, really? Yep. Yep, yep.
Yeah, I'm happy to continue as the alternate to Andrew.
Well, we need another, do we need the second one? Yep. Yeah? Yeah?
Does anyone know, given the fact that the state government has just passed legislation effectively removing these panels, why are we putting delegates to them?
Yeah, I don't think it's been quite implemented yet, so we've still got to
So we still have to do it, even
Still
though
got to
there's
cover off.
So
yeah.
at some stage, presumably when that legislation is finalised, it'll.
Correct.
Yeah.
But as Councillor Batten was saying, it's not exactly a
An
high
onerous-
intensity
onerous
activity as
task.
it is, but I think just to ensure we've covered our bases, that we have the appropriate delegates selected, and yeah, what the future holds, the future holds.
Councillor O'Ryan, you are volunteering. Well done, thank you. Anybody else? All right, if there's no further nominations, Councillor Batten and Councillor O'Ryan are the alternates for the committee for as long as it lasts. All right, no further discussion, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 22 is the planning proposal lot 551 and 553 DP 1176133, 11 Strathnook Lane, Clifton Grove. Post exhibition. Move around a second, please. Councillor Nash, thank you. Seconded. Councillor Jones. Any discussion? Mic on. Your mic on.
The subject site is identified in the Gabon settlement strategy as suitable for short-term development. What does that mean?
For you, Mr Mayor, means short-term development as in the short-term future. So, early in the plan. Early in the plan. So, earlier in the plan. So, it's a 20-year plan, so earlier in the term.
It's not for tents or caravans.
Is that a question? Any further discussion?
Sorry, just bear with me. We've already put this through Gateway and come back again, or is this going, sorry, This has got, so we've gone through that process, or, yeah, I thought so. My brain's a bit addled, sorry.
Anything further? Righto, nothing further? If there's nothing further, I will put it. All those in favour? Against, carried. No, there's no division there. Item 23 is questions for next meeting. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Jones, second by Councillor Pearson. Does anybody have any questions for next meeting? Thank you.
It's a question that's been brought up before by Councillor O'Ryan. Canowindra has a dump of poplar trees in somebody's paddock where they've cut them down and they just deposit them in somebody else's paddock and they're still there. Yeah, Fisherman's Drive, Soldiers Drive.
Done. Noted. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I was actually going to it's related to another item that's coming up in the supplementary. I could wait until then if you like, or I could throw it in now.
Probably wait till then if it's
All right.
subject of that.
Yeah, it is. It's sort of, yeah. But if we could sort of consider it as a question for next meeting sort of issue, it's something that I'd like to get some response back on, if that's all right. We'll get to it then.
Well, you'll ask the question on that item. I don't know what you're talking about, but you'll ask the question on that item and there'll be an answer or a follow-up.
Okay, we'll see what happens. Okay, thanks.
Any further questions for next meeting? All right, put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried on. 24's business paper item for noting. Mover and a seconder. Councillor Poole, thank you. Second by Councillor Weaver. Does anybody have any things they wish to pull out in the noting at all? Nothing? If nobody's got anything, could I just pass a comment and thank you through you, Matt, to all your staff here. Everybody can see in there there's a transport update and there's another infrastructure update in the supplementary items. The amount of work that's gone on, which I'll talk further later on in the evening about our works that have gone on the roads. Transport on there is number one, and the other, as I said, that late item, the amount of work that's gone on post-flood, and we've also continued on with business as usual as well. So, Matt, on behalf of Council, can you pass on to your crews especially the amount of work that has gone on outside? The work that they've done has been fantastic, and as we've always said, not just got it back to repair, they've actually got it to better, and that's fantastic, and please pass on our thanks to the crews. If nobody's got anything else to pull out of the noting, I will put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 25 is matters of urgency. Does anything have it? I'll move in a second first, sorry. Councillor Weaver, second by Councillor Rawson. Anybody have anything super urgent? Nope. You had something? No? No? All right, if not, I will put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Item 26 is Committee of the Whole section of the meeting. Can we have somebody move that we move into Committee of the Whole? Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Jones. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Now, if we go to item number 27, which is the modification DA 24/0152 modification of condition 5, is that 58? Condition 58? And addition of condition 58A and larger capacity fire water tank. Can I have a mover in a second? Moved by councillor Paul, seconded by councillor Nash. Discussion. Councillor Nash?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. It's a really good report. It's very, there's a lot in it. But, I've got no problem with the water tank and whatever. And I'd just like to thank everyone for the report and interest in it. I'm just wondering about that road that's supposed to be sealed within 5 years, and when do they actually own the road, and will it really happen? Will it be sealed? Just well investigated and thoughtful, and I just wanted to know, really, will it happen?
Thank you. Get your crystal ball out.
Through you, Mr Mayor, first question with regards to the road ownership. That process of road closures and sales is occurring at the moment. I would expect that would be completed in the next 6 to 9 months, and at which stage then the mill would own those roads. The conditions that are currently placed but also proposed, regardless of the ownership of those roads, they will be required for them to be sealed. The difference between the current condition and the proposed one is around the timing of those. The wording in the new condition provides that a partial construction certificate can be given for the mill extension without the need for the road to be sealed, but a partial occupation certificate can only last for a maximum of 5 years, at which time then that occupation certificate lapses if they haven't achieved the full occupation certificate. So in answer to the question, will it be done? Yes, it most certainly has to be done within 5 years, or else they risk lapsing their occupation certificate, and then they have to go through the whole process again.
Any further questions or discussion? No? All right. If there's nothing further, I will put that, and I need to show hands because there's a division on this. All those in favour? It's unanimous, thank you. All right. Can I have somebody move that we move out of committee of the whole? Back to ordinary meeting. Thanks, Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Weaver. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. So we now move to item 28, which is development application 2026/0036 rural subdivision, various lots 4466 Warradary Way at Wollongong. Move on a second, please. Moved by Councillor Batten, second by Councillor Nash. Any discussion on this at all? Councillor Rawson.
Oh, thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I mean, I note that it's going from, I think it was about, I counted 17 lots down to 5. I mean, I think we should be happy with that. I don't know what the history of the site was and why there are so many different lots, but yeah, I guess was it sold as settlement? Okay, yeah. So, and I'm guessing that as they're all now 100 hectares, we've got little choice but to accept it, really. It fits with our LEP. I do understand the views of that were expressed earlier on about fragmentation, and I guess if you extend that idea across the whole of the Shire, 100 hectare lots everywhere across the whole of the Shire, then that would be a very fragmented agricultural landscape. And it's not something we would want to have happen. I guess, however, that provision has always been there. So we've always had 100 hectare lots across all of those, across our whole Shire, and yet they haven't been broken up in any way. So not to any great extent anyway. This is also a location which is sufficiently close to a village centre to be considered sort of, next to a village. So, I guess urban expansion, if you want to think of it that way. So it's not unusual to have lots like this size close to a village. So it's not in our Shire, but so be it. The issue I wanted to raise, though, is that there is a trunk main of CTW going right through Lot 1. It's not marked on any of the maps here. And I do know there's a pump station. There's a little, if you look at the maps, right up on Warradary Way, top left-hand corner on a big loop of the river, there's a little tiny notch in there, and that's actually a pump station of CTW's.
Is that the Goombrong one?
Yeah. And there is a main trunk line, that goes down ultimately to Grenfell, goes north-south through the middle of the new Lot 1. The question the point I'm trying to make here is that I'd like to see that identified on all of the planning, and potentially an amendment to say that there should be an easement along that.
Just checking, there'd have to be an easement there, wouldn't it?
No, there's nothing marked there.
Blue lines.
No, they're streamlines. It actually exists about 30 metres to the east, I think. Have we got this? No, to the north. Is that right? Of the existing overhead power line that's there, which is marked as a red line. So if you look at it, about 30 metres to one side is where that water line. So I've spoken with the general manager of CTW, and he has asked that there be a formal easement identified through that lot if this goes through.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of the easement arrangements that exist that are in there. The plans provided are not subdivision plans in of themselves. They are conceptual plans of something to move towards. We can certainly request easement plans to be put through and protect the services that exist, and we can incorporate that into the approval.
Thank you. I thought you'd say that. So my next note, or my next question is, this is the second time I've pulled up just in recent times, pulled up an issue related to a CTW easement or a potential easement for a CTW service. One was at MSM Milling, in fact, the previous item. I'm just wondering what the methods, it sounds like there's a structural issue in relation to identifying where these utilities are, where CTW utilities are in Cabon whenever we have one of these DAs or these sort of proposals go through. I'm really asking whether or not we should put our heads together and come up with a better system so that these sort of things get identified really early on, potentially, particularly at this level, at this stage, rather than wait for DA, final DAs to go through. The developer, I'm sure, would love to know whether or not there's a water line through there. This is actually a major trunk main that goes through there. That's right.
Hang
One
on. One at a time.
Yeah, Pully was just making the point that,
Mr Mayor, perhaps we should move into committee of the whole on
Thank
this
you.
item.
That request for moving the committee whole, thanks by councillor Batten, seconded by councillor Jones. All those in favour? Against, carried, done.
so, just whether or not we could fix this issue. The easements or the positioning of all of these utilities are not well known, what seemingly not well known in the process.
Well, I think, can I just jump in there? I think we're getting right into some pretty operational stuff here, and I think you've raised it, and thank you for doing so. And I think that now that's been raised, some sort of formal process done through whether it be MATs or planners or whatever, that requests go to CTW on any sort of future planning like that, especially subdivisions or any sort of development stuff, to see any CTW concerns. So I think that'll be taken on board now, so I don't think we really need to put anything formal here now, but it will be done. As far as, if there were existing lots too, wouldn't there be easements on the existing lots, I would think?
No, and
Well, they're already subdivided, there's 17 lots there.
yeah, I understand, but Pully made the point before that, and he's correct, and that's something that Charlie told me yesterday, that a lot of these mains went through at a time when easements weren't even identified. And that's the reason why they're not being flagged whenever a DA goes through here. They're not being flagged because they're just not mapped, or they're not.
Well, as I said, I think you've raised it now, and I think from now on there'll be a protocol in place between planning, engineering. Yep. Done.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, I've just got one question.
Yep.
When the fellow said that we're setting a precedence, that wouldn't be right, would it?
Well, yeah, mate.
Through Mr Mayor, the only precedence that's been set by the approval of the minimum lot size of 100 hectares is that it's what's been already nominated in the Cabon LEP. So the precedent is set by the Cabon LEP, not by this development.
Councillor Batten.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I just want to speak in favour, obviously, as the mover of the motion, that we approve this DA. I think it's important for people to understand what we're talking about here, as Councillor Rawson indicated, is a consolidation of 17 lots into 5. So some of the risks that were highlighted in the presentation to us, in fact, were probably a greater risk, because there's an opportunity where when you've got 17 small lots to actually move them into large lot residential, for example. Whereas what this does is actually consolidates them into 5 larger lots that are classified as rural, right? RU1. So it actually minimises the risk of the dangers that the person that came and spoke to us, Wayne Hughes, spoke about. The other thing it does, we can't make decisions based on speculation. Like he put out a number of things, speculating about what might happen if somebody buys it as an absentee landlord or something like that. You could also speculate that it could actually be better, because 2 of these lots have frontages to the Lachlan River. Somebody can go and buy a water licence external to those blocks of land and move those water licences onto those 100 hectare lots, and they become very, very productive parcels of land. So what I'm saying is it's the same as what we ran into at the last meeting, where we reiterate again, we make the decisions based on the evidence that's in front of us. We can't make decisions based on speculation about what may or may not happen in the future.
Thank you, well said. Yep. Any further discussion? All right, I will put that division, so I need a show of hands. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, everybody. All right. No need to. We're going now into closed anyway. No need to go out of committee.